question now. Dear Luke, my God, you're a masculine fellow. I have never seen biceps like that in my life. I recently watched your United States of America and I must say that I was absolutely perspiring all up and down my body. I was sitting in a puddle at the end of only just 5 minutes. As a result, what I'd really like to ask is how do I get your phone number and how do I get you to take me on a helicopter? But that aside, that is not the actual problem that I'm currently being faced with. So then, Luke, you delightful hunk of a man, I don't know what to do, she says.
Well, I can help.
A close friend of mine seems to have taken leave of her senses. She has a lovely husband and 2 small children, but she became overly friendly with a man at the gym and is seriously thinking about embarking on an
Can I just say something
with
there,
him.
George, quickly? I'm actually banned from most gyms because...
people get jealous.
Yeah, I'm too much of a distraction. So I tend to just train in the woods now. It's only the trees and the animals that can resist.
That are not intimidated
my
by
charms and intimidation factors.
Alright, so that's true. So you're not going to find Luke at the gym. He also damages all of the equipment. Yeah. He just lifts it and it splits. Alright, so I know her husband would be devastated because she's thinking on embarking on an affair with a man she met at the gym.
Right.
She just won't listen to reason about the potential consequences for everyone involved. I just can't stand by and see the possible disintegration of a lovely family. She knows she can't risk anything physical with this man during the current time in her life, she says. We don't want to give away anything personal there, she was about to say. But she exchanges endless texts with this man and expects me to be excited for her. I understand her predicament. I'm even wondering if I should tip her husband off somehow, but then I would be betraying our friendship. So I can't do that. Well, technically you can, actually. I mean, you have a certain degree of free will. You can technically do it.
You could.
Right. That's the end of it. That's what she's asking. So, should we summarise it for anyone who didn't understand?
Yeah, from what I can decipher from this, basically your best mate met a fella at the gym. He flashed his biceps. She got a little bit hot under the old...
and this is why Luke is no longer allowed at gyms.
Exactly.
Because he tends to have that effect on married women.
Yeah. And now she's in a position where she has been texting flirtatiously with this man. I don't believe they've had any physical relationship at this stage.
This lady here, who will remain secret, she doesn't know that.
Right, so it could have
we
got
don't know
to a physical stage. But
we
the reality is they're already texting and flirting with each other.
Let's be fair, because a married woman can still flirt. It doesn't mean that she's actually going to do anything. She just likes to know. She likes the validation to think, oh, okay, I can still gain interest.
And this is the thing, though,
right?
right?
Without cheating.
This is the thing, though, isn't it, George? You've hit the nail on the head. There's flirting, harmless flirting, and there's actually taking that flirting forward and embarking on an extramarital affair. And it sounds like your friend here is very well on her way to doing so. And I would say, look, I'm not exactly sure what your question is, but you're considering whether you should tell the husband, whether you should get involved.
She thinks she should stop it. She thinks that this woman is about to ruin a lovely family. Her own lovely family. And she thinks this should be prevented, nipped in the bud, before the family is ruined.
Yeah, it's a very difficult situation you're in. A very, very challenging predicament. And my advice would be, before you speak to the husband and say anything, because I know and I can understand where that's coming from and why you might feel you need to do so, I'd say sit down with her. Sit down with her and have a serious, proper conversation. Explain to her that this is only going to head one way, and if you're going to do this, this is going to end badly. Really, really badly. And you are not endorsing or supporting the choices that she's making right now. And maybe even you, who knows, maybe the more you speak to her, maybe the more information you'll find out about why she wants to embark on this affair. What's going on in her marriage? What the hell is going on? Is there any kind of reasoning behind this that you're not aware of? Find out a bit more about what's going on behind the scenes before you make such a decision as to go to the husband and explain to him what's going on. But because you never know what's going on in the relationship. First, make more of a relationship with her. Get a bit more into the relationship in terms of the depths of what's going on. Then take a step back, consider the information, and then if she continues to choose to do what she's doing, and she continues to flagrantly embellish what's going on, explain what's going on, and essentially just fucking shine it into your face, then you have a decision to make. And quite frankly, if you want to talk to him about it, then you know what? I stand by that decision. If after everything's been digested and all information has been taken in.
It is definitely a difficult situation, and I do want to
George, let me say
I want
this
to
to you, brother.
extrapolate one thing from what you've said and
Yeah.
what she said, and we can elaborate a little bit on this. But I just think this friend of yours has put you in a very difficult position because let's say hypothetically she does cheat on her husband,
Yeah.
and she wants you to be happy for her. The problem is what she's done to you is she put you in a situation where you feel a high degree of responsibility for something that you had no cause of. You didn't create the problem. So ultimately, you've got this unnecessary pressure where you're like saying, my morality is not going to let me be happy for you, but it's a secret I rather would have not known. So on some level, what she's doing is she's trying to diminish her own guilt by getting you to say, isn't it good? Isn't it wonderful? Because if she hadn't told you and she actually went and cheated on her husband, she would have a high degree of guilt, hopefully, unless there's something wrong with her. And she's thinking, how do I alleviate the guilt? Well, I know, I'll go and tell my friend. And then if my friend isn't happy for me, I'll just tell my friend she's the one with the problem. It's not me. You're not a real friend. Yeah, you should be feeling good for me. So that way she doesn't have to feel bad about herself. So initially I would bring that up to her and say, what kind of a friend puts a friend into the situation that you've put me into? Okay? How am I supposed to feel good? How am I supposed to look your children in the eye? How am I supposed to look your husband in the eye and feel all right? As a friend, you never really should have told me this information. As a better friend, maybe you shouldn't have put yourself into this situation. It's rather difficult. What were you about to say that I cut off?
I just think, from all intents and purposes, from what you've explained, she sounds like she's very immature, and it sounds like she's behaving like a little child, and she sounds like she's essentially quite a selfish person, if I'm being honest, because she's not thinking about you. She's definitely not thinking about her husband. She's simply thinking about herself and the excitement that she's going to gain from this potential relationship or this potential extramarital affair. And I think she's completely out of order, and I think you shouldn't have been placed in this position in the first place. So whatever decision you make, quite frankly, I don't think you can go wrong, because it's not your fault. She's the one in the wrong. You're not in the wrong. If you decide to speak to the husband, then you know what, you've done nothing wrong, and she's got no right to turn around and have a go at you, because at the end of the day, she should never have told you. She'd never be doing it in the first place.
I'll tell you something that could work on this, because it's rather difficult, and but I think, look, we've only got so much space in our heads, don't we? Sometimes we've got enough of our own personal woes, our own personal problems, and we carry around suitcases within the mind. And sometimes you don't want to carry around somebody else's suitcase. Yeah. Even though women are pretty good at handing you a whole lot of luggage right away. So what I would say is, as a possible solution to this problem, is say this to your friend. Listen, you're my friend. We've been friends for a long time. I would have rather not known what's going on with you and this guy at the gym. I would have preferred if you'd never mentioned it to me. So from this point onwards, I'm going to assume you had a flirt with this man and you texted back and forth, and it was nothing but a little bit of validation. It made you feel sexy to know that this man had interest in you. And I completely understand that. I sympathise with that. Everybody wants a little bit of attention from someone who makes them feel attractive. That's fine. But what I would say to your friend is, listen, that's the last I want to hear about it. In my mind, you flirted with someone, you had a bit of a text, okay, and that's where it ended. And if anything else happens, I don't want to know about it. As far as I'm concerned, you're not speaking to him anymore. It's completely over. And I don't want to hear another word. Because otherwise all you're doing is you're putting pressure on me, right, over something that I am morally against.
Yeah.
So that way, you can cut it out of your mind and say, I've made it clear to her I don't approve of it. And that way, if anything happens, it's not your responsibility. Because ultimately, people will... I know it sounds malicious, Luke. But it's almost like somebody saying to you, oh my God, I hit someone with my car and I killed them yesterday on the way home. And I got rid of the body. And it's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do about
George,
that?
you're not supposed to tell them what I told you.
Oh shit, oh no, sorry Luke, I didn't realise it. Where was it? Southend, was it? Anyway, but yeah, somebody comes to you and says that. Yeah. And it's sort of like, are they saying it for your benefit? Or are they just saying it so they can clear out their conscience? Their conscience, yeah. Oh, I need to look someone in the eyes and say this so that they can make me feel like I'm not a bad person.
It's very selfish behaviour on all levels.
In some ways, we would understand the latter a bit more if somebody came and said, I hit someone with my car, I feel terrible about it. But in this case, she's saying, I hit someone with my car, I feel really good about it. But the point is it's like, you can say, don't put that pressure on me because I now feel the guilt. I want to know, who did you hit with your car? Do they have a family? Is that person being looked for?
Do I have a responsibility?
Do I have a responsibility to get involved? You can't just tell me and expect me to do nothing about it. But from this point on, you can say, morally, this is how I feel about it. And for that reason, I don't want to hear anything else. I don't want to hear anything else. And that way, the pressure's off. You've made yourself clear. And you can at least look at your friend and...
But then, George, what happens if after that, she continues to...
It's not your fault. It's not on you. You've made yourself clear. You made your bed and you get to lie in it. You can say, I don't agree with it. I'm morally against it. I'm sure that if something happens, it's going to have a negative repercussion.
But I would say...
I don't want to hear about it.
Sure, but I would say if she continues to talk about it, after you've specifically told her not to talk about it and tell her about it, if she keeps going on and on about it and basically showing off and sort of, you know, flagrantly throwing it in your face, then I think she's asking for it, basically, in terms of what you decide to do after that.
Asking for what, Luke? Pillow fight?
Well, listen.
Girl slap?
You're
asking for it, love.
If you decide to tell her husband, or you tell her I don't want to be friends anymore, whatever it might be, whatever consequence that you feel is enough in order for you to remove yourself or clear your conscience from the situation, I think you're well within your rights to do so. You've given her the ultimatum, and then from there, the ball's in her court. Yeah.
So what we're saying then? Tell her how you feel, and tell her you don't want to hear any more.
Yeah, that's the step one. Tell her how you feel. Tell her you don't want to hear any more, and then see what happens after that. If she respects that, then it's done. If she continues to talk about it, then you know what to do. You know to do what you feel is right.
You could say to her, especially if her family is really nice, you could say, and it probably won't work, but you could try it, because often, Luke, women like to live in the moment. They like to say, this is how I feel right now. This makes me feel good this minute. And I know George, it sounds sexist. I know it sounds sexist, but we're just two sexist individuals, especially this one right here speaking at this precise moment. Because I'm not going to put that kind of pressure onto Luke, because I'm a friend. I'm not going to tell everyone something about him that's untrue, because he's going to be like, hang on a sec. I thought we were friends. How can you put me into a negative situation based upon your words? So anyway, I'm going to take all the responsibility and say it's slightly sexist, and I'll take, yeah, whatever, I said it. Anyway, so... women do tend to do that, okay? And what you can say to her is, just look at yourself 5 years in the future, okay? Just project 5 years into the future. How is this going to affect you then? How are you going to feel then? If your marriage does fall apart, if you end up getting too infatuated with this man at the gym, how is it going to feel in 5 years? How is it going to affect your life? How are your children going to feel? How are they going to look at you, right?
Yeah.
And let her think of it that way, because all she's thinking at present is, well, I feel good today.
Yeah.
He makes me feel good tomorrow. When I get that text and I get that little ding, it's like, oh, it's exciting. He's messaging me again. I feel good today.
It's the Emperor's New Clothes, George, you know, and those Emperor's New Clothes, they're not going to be new forever, are they?
I don't know if that's a good analogy, Luke, because you know what the Emperor's New Clothes is? He's actually not wearing any clothes. And I think that's her problem. She's thinking he is the Emperor's New Clothes, when to everybody else he's wearing wonderful threads, but to me, he's purely nude underneath. Oh, goodness me.
To be fair.
Great God he is.
Yeah, wow.
Emperor's New Clothes. Clothless. Anyway.
I think we've spoken enough on this. I wish you all the very best with your friend. And quite frankly, if I knew what was going on,
Squeeze have a real good time.
Well, listen, if I'd have known, I would have. If I'd have known she was seeing someone else, I would have stopped responding.
You would have stopped texting her.
Yeah.
All right, don't worry. Luke's gonna stop texting her, and therefore the problem
done.
is officially done. That family will be saved. No problem. All right.
Bye.
Problem
Solved.